Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Wholesale Hotline number 218. I'm Brent Daniels, Mr. Talk to People, joined by the flipping genius himself, Jerry Norton, and the Astro Man, the Keegley Man, the king of wholesale, Jamil Damji. How are you guys?
What's up?
Amazing.
Great to see you guys.
Great to be here.
That is awesome. Where are you at, Jamil?
I am in Calgary, Alberta.
Nice. And
Yes,
there he
sir.
is, Mr.
Pacer.
Stuff to himself.
What up,
Pacer.
guys?
How are you?
I'm just killing the game, bro. Happy to be alive. Happy everything's going the way it is. Man.
Well, I've just been spending the last couple hours just sending notices to Instagram about your Instagram. Okay, Pace. I don't like the music you're playing on it.
I need the team, Pace. You gotta fill me in, man. Who do that to you, man? Who we gotta send the goons after, bro?
So here's the beautiful thing. I have a student. Her name is, I don't want to say her name, but I have a student that works at Meta. She's helped me with Facebook and IG issues in the past. And when this whole thing happened, I was like, I need to know what actually happened. Because you don't get the ability to communicate with Facebook or IG. Like there's nobody to talk to, right? It's a mess.
Yeah.
And so you have to pay one of these people to like go in and fix your problem for you that don't even work for Facebook and Meta. Like it's the weirdest thing how this industry works. So anyway, after we got back up and going, I then reached out to her and was like, I need to know why this happened so I can prevent it from happening in the future. So she went down to the department that handles this stuff. And she's like, I'm going to send you stuff from like my phone. I need you to delete it immediately, but I'm going to send you the name of the person. And you would not believe the name of the person that did this. If I told you the name of this person, you would, I'll tell you after, Jamil and Jerry and Brent. I just want you guys to know it does not matter how much money you make somebody and how much they pretend to want to collaborate with you. There's just people that cannot stand your growth. That's all there is to it.
Dang, dude. Sorry to hear that, bro. But they can't stop you. They can't stop it.
Are you back up, Pace? Are you back on IG?
Yeah, I'm back on.
Good. Good, because
it was a fun week for me to be off of IG. I was like, how does anybody communicate with a regular world without Instagram? You know, I use it so much. And I did this I did this like social media training with somebody the other day. They're like, why should I use social media? I'm like, you will buy so many more deals and get so many more private money lenders if you just use freaking social media.
Yep.
And I'm talking to this guy's name's Eric. He never made a post in his life, right? Brent talks about this all the time. You got to get loud. You got to talk about what you do. He makes one post. I reshare it on my Instagram. I know that's a cheat code. And he comes back to me like a day later. He goes, dude, I raised like $100,000 from all my DMs. This is so great. I'm like, welcome to Instagram, dude. Like,
that was fun on stage, Pace, when we looked at a couple Instagram accounts.
Dude, you did such a great job on day 3 of Squad Up Summit. Like truly one of my favorite speakers.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, bro. For how many people were at Squad Up Summit that saw Jerry crush it twice on stage?
Get him, Jerry.
I was backstage for his first one, but his second one I sat out there. What a great talk.
Oh, thank you.
Me too. I went out in the front row and I sat next to your wife. And then Eric, our videographer, photographer, caught a bunch of shots of your wife just admiring you and staring at you. And it was just so cute to watch. Yeah, legit. That's exactly it. Mike Powell says, I also saw Pace come out and sit front row. You are the only person that I sat in the audience to watch, Jerry. The only person out of 3 days I sat there and watched you. You're the freaking man. You're muted for some reason. I don't know what's going on. What are we talking about today on Wholesale Hotline? Whoa, what happened?
Wholesale real estate. Yeah, baby. That's what we're talking about.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Actually, there's been a couple of things that we've noticed at Keegley. I should probably bring these up and get some audience participation and maybe hear from you guys is what's been kind of going on in your business. So, you know, the early part of the year was a little bit soft for wholesale volume. We got a major uptick February, March. April started to get a little slow. And towards the end of April and into the beginning of May again, we've got another spike in volume. And so I'm starting to really feel like the investors don't really know how to forecast or what's going to happen with interest rates and where the Fed is going to do, or if the Fed is going to do anything. Some people are even fearful that they may raise rates just because inflation is so out of control. But we're really seeing buyer activity come back and start to stabilize. And we've been having conversations with the buyers and asking them, you know, taking their temperature and asking what their plan is. And the consensus that we're hearing is that there is just no way that fix and flippers are going to be able to hold enough inventory once rates start coming down. And so people are just actually stacking up inventory just in case we do have a rate drop. They feel that the market's just going to go bananas and there'll be nothing available. I don't know what you guys are experiencing right now in your respective businesses. But this is what we're seeing. And this is not only in our corporate stores, but this is in multiple franchises as well. So any of the major markets, Florida, Texas, Arizona, California, volume has been wavy, but it's on the uptick and it's coming back with a vengeance.
I believe that I mean, you never know. I think politics are going to be crazy this year. It's going to be another crazy year. But here's a better question. I'm going to answer your question, but here's a good question. When has real estate not been weird and crazy and who knows what the heck is going on? Has anybody ever been like, we all know right now what's going on?
No.
Or is there always this massive difference of opinions?
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? So I think what is going to happen is politics are going to play a huge role with what Powell just said the other day. Powell said, we are going to not lower rates because inflation has gone back up. We are going to attack and get it down to 2%. Guys, the only way they're getting the inflation down to 2%, the only way is through raising rates. I think that they are going to raise rates. They have in the last 60 days. We are now hovering right around 8% interest. They're not, people don't talk about that. Right? People aren't talking about that online for some reason, but the rates were raised. We are right around 8%. I think, like I said last year, I said this summer, 2024, we will hit 9% interest. I said it a year ago. I think the only way that they are going to settle in and keep inflation from going up is going to bring rates to somewhere around 9%. And it's scary, but then here's what I think is going to happen. I think that when this political environment comes around in the next 5 or 6 months, I think that the Fed is going to throw some wild curveball. Some politics are going to come into play, and the whole thing is going to go out the window. They're going to print money. They're going to do everything they possibly can. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's so much printing of money going on that they're not talking about. So much. They're subsidizing the immigration situation that's going on. They're basically abandoning schools to bring immigrants in. They're cutting checks to them. The states are no longer have money. So the federal government's printing money and giving them money. There's so much going on where our government is really propping up the economy and keeping it from having a recession. I believe that it's going to be a hairy year. It's going to The political environment's going to be scary, and nobody knows which way it's going to go. It's going to go left, right, center, up, left, down, everything. And the only thing you can do, and this is my big pet peeve, I'd say Jerry does the best job. Brent does a phenomenal job. Jamil does a great job. I do a great job of actually talking about how to make money no matter what the market is doing. Look at everybody on YouTube. Look at Graham Stephan. Love Graham Stephan. I'm good friends with him. Texted him, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. I love a lot of these guys that are on there, but they're people with like flames in their backgrounds and talking about how the economy's crashing. Cool. No problem. How do people make money? If the economy is going to crash, how do we make money? That's the best question to ask, right? How can we make money? And Jamil, you're saying your buyers are back. Like your buyers are coming back and fixing and flipping like a freaking vent, like crazy. So is fixing flipping the way, or is just wholesaling all day, every day, no matter what the market is doing? What is the answer, Brent?
Well, listen, I'm looking at an article right now. Why luxury home sales are at an all-time high. Here's the fact. If you own assets, you love high inflation. You love high interest rates. You love all of these things. You do. And the fact is, to be able to buy the assets, you got to go out and find incredible deals. If you don't have a bunch of assets right now and you're kind of like, well, that's great. That's not where I'm at. I'm just getting started in real estate. You have two options, inbound or outbound. How are you going to find opportunities? How are you going to find people that want to sell you their house? Either you got to reach out to them, which is outbound, and that's where you trade some effort, some of your time for having a lack of budget. But then when you do get a budget, then you get to have inbound leads. And it's absolutely incredible when people every single day reach out to you and say, hey, will you buy my house? It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. So yeah, I echo what Jamil was saying. You know, we have not had any issues selling our deals this year. We've closed on a lot of them and then just put them out once we own them. And that's been a really, really, really solid strategy for us. And one that we talked about last week, one that Jerry and I are going to trumpet for a while on our YouTube channels, of just closing the deals and then reselling them. More of a traditional flip. You can always assign the deals. But when you get to the point when you can just close on them, you're going to have more control, and more control means less people and more systems. And when you have less people and more systems, your profitability soars.
I got a text message today from an investor that I've worked very closely with in the past. He just closed a publishing deal for his. He's a music producer. Pace knows him very well. He just wired $3 million to purchase as many properties as he can buy in Arizona and oddly enough, Indianapolis. And so I'm on a buying spree right now in AZ for him, and I'm on a buying spree for him right now in Indianapolis. I might actually convince him to do like 2/3 in Indy, 1/3 in AZ, because I was doing some research once I got the call, and it sounds to me like there's a lot of opportunity out there. So, I mean, for people to just be coming out and saying, hey, here's $3 million, go buy real estate. It's the only thing I trust right now. I mean, that's very, very, very good. And it's not just him. It's multiple investors. So many people are back ready to go. But the other thing, Pace, is here's the piece, right? When you're talking about how do you make money during a time like this, when inflation is so high, what is the one thing, what's the one asset that we can park our money in that increases with inflation, that it goes in the same direction as when we have high inflation? It's housing. Housing rises. Exactly.
Yep. And it's the only thing that's certain.
Yep.
The only thing.
Yep. And so regardless of what happens, whether or not we have high inflation and high rates, or if they start to bring inflation down and the rates lower, real estate's going to win. It's going to win. I mean, I look, I'm not a fortune teller, but I am a genie. And I will say that, you know, from all of the writing that's on the walls right now, I feel like we've got a great year ahead of us as wholesalers, creative finance investors, and even buy and hold investors alike.
Look, buy and hold investors you're never going to lose by what your music producer is doing. Same thing with me. Like, even if the market goes down, the equity in my properties go down, I don't survive on my equity, right? It's the long game. Same thing with stock market, right? If you're buying great stocks, you'll never lose. You just got to wait. And the tough thing, I remember talking to a good buddy of ours, Eric Sage, back in 2008. A lot of people, when the market crashed, they lost all their equity in their properties. They go, well, I'm just going to bail on all these houses.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine if they would have kept those houses and let the tenants continue to pay down the mortgages and let those properties come back in value. They would have doubled the value on all those houses. And so it's a waiting game, and it's the only game that is certain, like what Jamil just said. Jerry, I know you're doing a lot more novations. Do you feel like the novations are going to continue to be on the rise?
Well, I mean, you can pay more, so it gives you a little bit of a competitive advantage versus just a straight cash assignment. I mean, we're taking them down too. I feel like you better have a few different, tricks up your sleeve, different ways to do the business, because you can't just rely on one way anymore. You spend so much money on marketing. You've got to be able to look at a deal from multiple lenses. And I mean, going back to what you were talking about, my experience has been rates going up or not going up. We're just in low inventory. So there's just still high demand. I mean, we put stuff out and there's high demand. If we get a good deal, there's high demand. We went after a property in Orlando. It was on market. Jamil will appreciate this. Just came out, listed, has some little bit of fire damage in the ceiling. You could see in one of the pictures. Price pretty good. And text the agent, and it was, hey, I'm an investor, want to make a cash offer on XYZ street, call me. And then of course I call him, doesn't answer, call him. So I'm trying to get a hold of this guy. And then he finally texts back and he said, I've gotten over 100 of the exact same text. And this, I mean, Orlando's a hot market, right? Like we do all things in Orlando. I mean, we do multiple marketing channels in that market. And I don't know, I'd have to check what our cost per contract is, but we spend a lot of money to acquire a contract. And if we get something in that market, I mean, we try to take it down and resell it. And we just make really high fees in that market. We work really hard to get deals, but then we make it up on the back end because we just get such high buyers in that market. And I think that's a lot of markets. So to me, it doesn't really feel like rates going up has really affected much. I mean, people still are trying to get deals and are fighting for deals, and there's just high demand.
Okay. So here, I love this comment from Megs B. This is a great space with pad splits and co-living. So Jamil and I just visited a pad split that him and his sister been working on a couple of days ago. And I feel like pad split, anybody that's focusing on affordable housing, there's no possible way you're going to lose.
Yep.
And I do see a lot of people still doing short-term rental. Guys,
stop it.
Stop. Short-term rental, stop. Pause. Whatever you got going on, figure out how to get into affordable housing, whether that's pad split or co-living. Pad split is the brand name of co-living, but co-living is the device essentially, or the mechanism. And it is the wave of the future. In 20 years, it will be even more popular than it is today. And the reason being is because affordability has never gotten better for Americans since the 50s. It's only gotten progressively worse for the last 70, 80 years. We're not magically going to get a president that comes into office and magically solves the affordability problem. It's not going to happen. So for real estate investors, that's our job. And so what I would be doing is, if you guys are buy and hold investors like myself, I know Jamil's getting more into buy and hold. I know I've been to some of Jerry's buy and hold in Montana. Co-living, like what Jerry did with his property in Montana, buys a single family property, cuts it in half, and turns it into a 2-family property so he can rent an upstairs and a downstairs.
Do they have a PadSplit in that part of the country, or are you just self-managing the co-living?
He's self-managing.
Okay.
Self-managing, yeah.
So there is no PadSplit. PadSplit's not in every market. And PadSplit wants there to be 40 houses or a total of about 200 doors in a market for them to deploy. I just go into markets that PadSplit already exists. So we have 13 total. We have some in Vegas and some here and 2 in Atlanta. They are by far our top performing assets. Why? Because now instead of me worrying about one tenant, like I have a property, Jamil, you went with me the other day. We had a deputy that met us at one of my single family properties. I bought it June of last year, and it took me 9 months to get my tenant out in a Republican state. It took 9 months to get the tenant out.
Crazy.
With co-living, I have 7 tenants, and if I have a challenge with one tenant or they don't pay me, they don't actually have a lease agreement. They are a member of the co-living space, and so I don't have to go through the same eviction laws, which is nice. And the best part is that their room is including their power, their utilities, their internet, everything for like $850 a month. And so what you guys are going to see is smaller spaces in order to make affordability a reality for most Americans. And with the immigration stuff that's going out right now, did you guys see what New York did a couple of months ago, where New York is now offering New York residents, if you rent a room out to an immigrant, they will pay you $125 a night for a room, not even a room, a bed. So they will pay you like $3,500 to $4,000 a month if you live in New York or New Jersey to let immigrants live in your home. That is what is going on right now in America. This is going to start happening in Pennsylvania, Chicago, and Denver in just the next couple of months, because those are our sanctuary cities, and people are taking immigrants there. They're shuttling them from Yuma and other parts of Texas up to these areas, and the state is running out of money. The federal government is pouring money into these things. Co-living is where it is at and where it will continue to grow over the next several years, or indefinitely, to be honest.
I 100% agree. It's been what they've been doing in Europe for decades, because of the fact that they've had inventory shortages in Europe for so long. They front ran this entire co-living model, and it's been working very well for them. And I think we're just catching on here in the United States. I agree with you, Pace. I think it's here to stay, and I think it's going to get more and more and more robust for investors as a strategy.
The PadSplit guys came up to me at Summit, and they want to come to Puerto Rico and open in Puerto Rico, which would do great here.
Oh, wow.
It would kill it there.
Yeah, because they have a lot of the same issue here.
What's cool about PadSplit too is that if you, let's say I just want to wholesale, right? I can go on PadSplit and I can see the active homes, and I can actually reach out to those people that own those properties, and I can say, hey, I'm a wholesaler. If I find, like, this is what's crazy. Jamil's sister is working on a property right now. She got a good deal on it, but the buyer is getting an 8% investor loan on this property, which kills long-term rental. Like, regular rental is getting destroyed right now. The BRRRR strategy is destroyed. Like, the last 18 months, everybody that's doing the BRRRR strategy, bye. However, if you're doing PadSplit, that 8% rate doesn't mean much to you, because now you can rent out 8 different bedrooms. So his sister turned a house that would probably lose $1,000 a month on a long-term rental into a house that's making $2,500 a month net. With an 8% interest rate.
With an 8% interest rate, and after the refinance, the investor got an additional $20,000 back, all of their cash out, and there's equity in the house. I mean, these deals are penciling out where they would never pencil. At 8%, that would never make sense.
And now think about what that PadSplit house, even though it's at 8%, right? What will happen in 2 years when rates go back down to 5%? He can refinance that deal. That thing's going to cash flow like a freaking monster. Armando says, do we still think midterm rental is a good strategy? Yes, I think, guys, I even think short-term rental is a great strategy, but I think that short-term rental, you need to be buying in like 10 markets only, like the Smoky Mountains, Zion's National Park, like anywhere that there's massive, like, what's the #1 most visited national park in the country? Smoky Mountains. So if you can get an Airbnb in the Smoky Mountains, then you're going to be just fine. You're going to have travelers there all year long. But if you're just like another run of the mill, let me put another Scottsdale Airbnb in Scottsdale, guys, we have an overabundance of short-term rentals across the country. We don't need more short-term rentals. We need affordable housing. And I'm going to tell you guys something that a lot of people don't want to hear. When you are going out there and doing short-term rental, you are robbing from the government and other taxpayers. And here's what I mean by that. The federal government, or the IRS, I should say, is rewarding real estate investors for providing affordable housing to the marketplace. So what they do is they give us this magical thing called depreciation. And it allows us to I didn't pay taxes last year or the year before or the year before. Why? Because the IRS says, if you go hold property and you provide affordable housing to the marketplace, we will allow you to avoid paying taxes legally. So if what I do is I take a house out of the whole market and I go put another bachelorette pad in South Scottsdale, am I using my IRS incentive properly and being honest with myself? The answer is, look, I'm not breaking the law, but guys, the reason why the IRS incentivizes real estate investors is so we provide affordable housing because they cannot. You should be focusing on affordable housing, solving a problem that our country has. That is what we as real estate investors do. We solve problems with sellers. We help buyers. When we are buyers, we should be helping people in our local community. So focus on affordable housing. Midterm rental, it's always going to crush. Why is midterm rental always going to crush? And why is it going to even do better and better and better? Here's why midterm rental is going to continue to do better, because insurance companies are going to continually get beat up by door knockers. This is an endemic. It is a massive problem in Florida and Texas. You guys have heard about insurance problems hiking up in Florida and Texas, right? Why? What's the number one reason why Florida insurance rates have nearly doubled in the last 24 months? Because door knockers going and knocking on people's doors and saying, hey, I see a couple of problems with your roof. Can we go get an insurance claim against your freaking insurance company? It won't cost you any money. In fact, what we'll do is we'll structure a way that your deductible that you'll have to pay for this roof, we will kick it back to you after we do the roof. So you'll get a Brent. Guys, you know how many of these roofs have been done in Florida with this scam? It's not a scam. It's legal. Okay. It is legal what they're doing. It's millions of roofs have been done between Texas and Florida in the last couple of years. And what has happened is it has inflated insurance costs across the country because these insurance companies are like, holy crap. But what's happening is these insurance companies are having to move families out of these houses while they fix mold issues and this and that and whatever else. And where are these families going? These families are going to midterm rentals. And as long as these door knockers are out there hustling and bustling and getting these insurance claims, midterm rentals are going to be at an all-time high. So do not worry about midterm rentals going anywhere soon until there's legislation against these door knockers scamming the insurance companies.
They're not only scamming Pace, some of them are committing outright fraud, because when the door knocker comes to a person's home and says, hey, I can get you a brand new roof and I can make sure that you don't have any out-of-pocket deductible to pay because we can put it into your total estimate, that's fraud. Pace and I were just had a conversation with an insurance. Actually, we're in talks right now to start our own insurance company so that we can provide better solutions to the investor network out there. But what we learned is that this rampant fraud, which is happening in the medical system as well. Look at how much it costs if you have to go to the hospital for something. Why is that? Because of all the fraud that happens in the insurance industry and in the medical industry. And the same thing is happening with housing. The same thing is it when you have bad actors out there committing fraud, things become haywire.
Right. So midterm rental is going to continue to win. Short-term rental, I'm not saying completely sell all your short-term rentals. I'm just saying, guys, don't make that your focal point. If you're playing the long game, short-term rental is something you should be doing one or two of those probably a year at the most. If you're a big buyer, probably you should have 4 or 5 of them in your whole portfolio total, right? People that are going out and saying, I'm going to go have 50 short-term rentals. You imagine when legislation changed, you know what happened to me in Atlanta? I had 17 short-term rentals in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia outlaws Airbnbs besides the one I'm allowed to have.
Right.
I had to turn and convert all the other houses. Think about all the furniture I put into the Airbnbs. One thing that will not be disrupted by legislation is affordability. If you are providing co-living and PadSplit types of homes, you are going to be providing a solution to the government. The government is incentivizing you to do. They're not going to legislate and change the way that affordability works. So as long as you're not breaking fire code, right? Having more than 10 people per house, PadSplit co-living is not going away. It's only going to grow. So if I were you guys, and I see this, I see so many more people doing PadSplit the last year and a half. Use that. Go build that up as your buyer profile. Why?
Yep.
Because they're willing to pay more money. Yep. They don't care about interest rates. They don't care about going down and getting a loan at 8%. They know they can still cash flow, right? So same thing with Section 8. Here's the challenge with Section 8 and what I don't love about it. Section 8, you are dependent on whether the government has vouchers in that local area. And so you go buy a deal, it's like, oh, sorry, there's a waiting list. There's no vouchers available for 18 more months. We're not going to open any more vouchers. So you're limited on the geographical area. One thing you're not limited on with co-living, PadSplit, is geographical area. You can buy anywhere. We have houses in HOAs. Do the HOAs love us? No, but they can't stop us. So you can do a co-living PadSplit area home in just about every area.
Friends, I gotta run real quick. I'm just taking my kid to an appointment, but I love you guys. Continue on this great conversation. I'm going to listen in while I'm driving. I'll see you guys all next Monday.
See you Monday, bud.
Brent, what were you going to say, brother?
Is PadSplit a company?
PadSplit is a company.
And what do they do?
They manage, fill, and bill all of the people for your co-living property. So PadSplit, the owner Atticus, we should have him come on here. And all they do is co-living. So they go to people who are the working class that are like, I can't afford to live in a house for $1,400 or $1,500. The average PadSplit home is $875 per room, including utilities, internet, everything. $875, including cleaning and everything. So $875. Where are you gonna get that? PadSplit. It's the only thing you can do. Now, PadSplit is a brand name. They charge 15% management fees. And so a lot of people will go, I don't want to go with PadSplit. They charge too much money. I'm different.
All day.
Pay the 15%.
All day.
So here's what they do. They market for the tenants. They do all the marketing. They fill all the rooms. They spend all the money for the marketing because it's a very specific type of tenant that wants to live in a per room basis, right? These are all single family homes converted to a multifamily atmosphere. So what you're doing when you buy a PadSplit, or you buy a single family home. The last one I did was a 4-bed, 3-bath house, was never going to cash flow in a long-term rental. It's a house on Flower. And we took the carport, turned into a bedroom, took the living room, turned into a bedroom, took the dining room, turned into a bedroom. Now we've got a 7-bed, 3-bath house. And we end up putting 2 refrigerators in the kitchen and 2 pantries in the kitchen. And you rent out the entire house by the room. $875 for the majority of rooms. The ones with bathrooms attached to them, you can rent for like $1,100 a month. And you end up doubling your net cash flow on a PadSplit versus a long-term rental. So a lot of people are like, oh, this long-term rental doesn't cash flow. Go to PadSplit and see what we should bring on a PadSplit rep here, and they'll show you how to underwrite houses for PadSplit so your buyers understand how to do it properly.
Are you seeing, Jerry, are you selling any properties to people that are doing PadSplits? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like this would be a great cash buyer to have in your database if they're going to be building up,
We're putting it into our marketing, when you're looking for your avatar on a wholesale deal, we'll put, great co-living space. If it's got like all the extra bedrooms and it's an easy conversion. Because Pace is right. I mean, you're looking at a lot of the buy and hold crowd that is now looking at things differently to cash flow. So if you can bring it to them, talking those numbers, then they're going to be interested in looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, people have been doing it forever. This just seems like it's more of a formalized process.
Yeah, there's a company that went public, actually, that was doing it big time, like 10 years ago. They went public. That's where Atticus came from. So Atticus, the owner of PadSplit, worked for a company that went and did an IPO. They focus on co-living. They just didn't focus on investors like us. They went more institutional route where they were actually doing like what Blackstone and all these companies were doing, where they were doing it all internally. And Atticus is like, how many investors out there are not benefiting from this co-living space? You've got Miami, the Bronx, like parts of New York, the other parts of New York. They've been doing co-living for a very, very long time, renting out by the room, right? And we talk about the way we used to talk about it is we would talk about it as like dorm rooms or college housing, right? College housing, where it's like, oh, it's on campus and these people are renting by the room. It's no different than that. It's just now you're making it available to everybody. So if you go to PadSplit, the website I use is splityourpad.com. If you go to splityourpad.com, you as an individual can take a house that's not cash flowing and say, how do I just convert the living room and the other stuff? You throw up a couple of different rooms or a couple of different walls. It's very inexpensive. My average PadSplit conversion is like 20 grand. You furnish the bedroom with an average of $800 of furniture. So mattress, blanket, you know, a little hanging closet. And because I'm not trying to actually get an appraisal done, I don't need a full closet. I just need a hanging rod in there for people to hang their stuff. It's so basic. And we've never had a hard time filling up our houses. Now, I do see a lot of people say, I don't want to pay PadSplit's fee because PadSplit does all the things. So I am seeing people like Chino Monte in Vegas, one of our students. He's got like a dozen PadSplits, but he is not using PadSplit. He's managing, filling, collecting money, dealing with all the stuff himself. But what PadSplit did is so genius. They go to their tenants and they go, you're not a tenant, you're a member of our club. So we can kick you from our club anytime we want. It has nothing to do with a lease. And so there's no leases with these tenants. They're not technically called tenants. They're called like club members. And so if they don't pay their rent, they get pulled out of the club. And there's all sorts of legislation they've worked themselves around. Really ingenious. And the way they're doing is just crushing. They're doing a lot of volume. I think what PadSplit told me is that over 500 of the sub-2 community signed up with them and has launched like over 1,000 houses in the last 12 months. Insane, like insane, just our community. And there's a bunch of people actually in here today that are saying they got their PadSplit. So Sharon K says, I rent out 4 of my 6-bedroom, 3-bath, the fridges and cupboards for all. So what Rahima did is Rahima put in 8 pantries and like coin laundry into this PadSplits. It's a regular like 4-bed, 3-bath house that she gutted the inside and turned into a 7-bed, 7-bath. She spent way more money than I would want to spend.
Sure.
But she killed it. Caroline Allen says they won't do blue states though. So Carolina, good to see you. I saw her. She was just at her first stage the other day. Good to see you, Carolina. Proud of you. So this is where people are like, if PadSplit doesn't want to come into the blue state, I will just self-manage my own co-living stuff. So a lot of stuff on YouTube about this, guys. It is freaking awesome.
And there doesn't have to be any zoning issues.
No zoning issues.
If it's under 10 people.
Under 10 people. Yeah. No fire sprinklers, none of that kind of stuff.
I mean, that opens it up wide because like when I'm filtering out properties to go after, the bread and butter is 2,000 square feet and below. This would be way bigger. I mean, the bigger the property that you can, I mean, that really opens it up for appreciation states like Arizona, Texas, California. Well, maybe not California, but Nevada, some of these states where, you know, you can buy a 35, 38, 4,000 square foot house for call it 800, 900, $1 million. And it would make sense from a payment standpoint if you could get enough bedrooms and bathrooms in there.
Right.
It's interesting.
I think like you look at places like Montana, right? Where Jerry and I have our summer homes. You go into like Subway, they close at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Taco Bell closes at 2 p.m.
Why? Because they can't find workers because workers can't afford to live in the city.
I talked to a guy at Home Depot and he said, both my wife and I work, we make over $100,000 a year and we rent because we can't afford to buy anything.
It's crazy.
I mean, when you make 6 figures and you can't buy your own house, like what is going on? You know, but that's the Flathead. That's that area.
If you go in there and you're like, okay, I want to make a dent, I want to solve a problem, and I want to be able to rent things out. So one of the properties I bought in Flathead where Jerry and I summer is I bought a 5-bed, 3-bath house, 2 stories. And I was going to turn into midterm rental, but then I looked at co-living and I'm like, dude, I could rent these rooms out. And PadSplit's not there. So PadSplit is not going to manage this property. We'll self-manage it ourselves. But I'm thinking, okay, I could probably rent these rooms out for like $850. I now have 7 rooms, 3 baths in this house. And I'm sitting here going, man, I think I could rent this out for like $850, $900 a room. And we have a waiting list and it's like we bumped up the rate to $1,100 a room. So $7,700 is my income on a single family home. That's stabilized. That's not short-term rental where I have to worry about, oh, people are coming in for skiing. People are coming in for this. That is year-round, $7,700 a month on a property that I could probably have rented out for like $3,000 a month. Yeah, Landon says, is that the one I sold to you? Yeah, Landon, that is the one you sold to me. The good thing is I bought it sub 2 from Landon. Landon worked with an agent there locally. And I think I got a 3% rate on that thing. I will make like $3,000 a month on that one little single family home versus doing midterm rental, which I could do as well. I just think co-living is the wave of the future. It's affordability. If you can solve the affordability problem, you'll never worry about clients.
So Pace, I've got one that I should look at with you. It's a creative finance. It's in Kalispell. It's a duplex, 2-bedroom each side. And so 2-unit each side, rents are $1,000, which are a little under. Tenants have been there forever. You know, rates are, I think today's rates are like $1,300-1,400 each side, but it doesn't pencil because he wants 6% and he wants 10% down. So it's $500, $50,000 down, 6% rate, and you're only bringing in $2,000 a month currently. Now, if you evict them, you'd have to go in and spend some money versus leave them in there for a while. What would you do in that situation?
I'd probably rent out. Are the each side, is it a 2-1 each side?
2-2.
Okay. It's, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You could turn in. So what you could do is you could take the living room, because there's going to be a living room and 2 bedrooms in one of those units. So you take one living room, turn it into a bedroom. So now you have 3 beds, 2 baths on each side.
And all you're doing is walling it off and putting a door on it. And
That's
now you
it.
have hallways. There's no living room. Yeah.
And what I would do is I would rent out each room for like $750, right? Because it's a little bit smaller. It's a condo. So now you're bringing in $2,200, $2,300 per side. So you're bringing in like $5,000 a month on the duplex through a rent by, bro, I'll do that deal with you.
All right. I'll reach out to him.
Yeah. I'd love that. See, this is exactly what this is going to happen. I think that with this little co-living thing, it doesn't have to be PadSplit, but PadSplit's just kind of the big Goliath that's managing a lot of people's stuff. There's some other companies that are springing up too, but this deal, like that structure, just solved that entire problem, right? And I have a full-time manager up there. Her name is Jen. So she could manage the property for us, just like she's managing my other one, Jerry. And we have a waiting list for our property, right? People that are like, wait, you're renting for $1,100 a month. Where can you find a property to rent for $1,100 a month in Whitefish, Kalispell area? It's like mother-in-law basements and stuff like that. And so if you're wholesaling, this is the crazy thing about it. Like, think about if you understand this exit strategy and you're a wholesaler and you are finding deals that you're like, hey, this doesn't pencil as a long-term rental, but here's the price. Here's what you could rent it out on a PadSplit. And what I don't love, and I've always given the advice, look, if you are going to go out and wholesale an Airbnb to somebody, they should not be penciling it as an Airbnb. They should pencil it as a long-term rental, because you don't know when short-term rental regulation is going to come in and destroy their cash flow. But what's cool about PadSplit is you don't have to worry about that, right? PadSplit is just as solid as a long-term rental. Like, they're not going to come in and change the legislation around and say, sorry, you can't rent by the room. That has never happened.
Hey, you should pull this up. I just sent it to you. I texted you the Zillow on it. So 500K, it's 60K down. So 500,000, 60K down, 6% rate. Current tenants are at 1,000 each side. Market rates are 1,500.
Oh my gosh, this is freaking, it's a single family home.
Well, no, it's not. It's the garages it's split down the middle.
Oh, I love it, dude. You could, I bet you anything. I bet you anything.
Those garages?
Yeah, you can convert the garages. We convert all the garages in all of our PadSplits. Crazy.
I'll reach out to him.
You might be able to rent $700 per room, convert the garage. So now you've got 4 people living in one side. Like, think about that. People could get their utilities, their internet, and their rent for $700 a month. Tell me you couldn't rent out four rooms.
In Kalispell? Are you kidding?
Yeah, done. You're done. So now you're at $2,800 a side. Right. So you have $5,600. What would be your payment with this guy at his? Do you know? Have you worked it out?
Yeah, I can look for it and pull it up, but it definitely didn't cash flow at 1,000 each side. It was like, I think at 6%, your rate, your PI was like 2,100, and then by the time you added in taxes and insurance, you were at 2,700 or something like that.
Here's what I'll do. I'll give you guys my rep. Let's see if I can call her. Let's see if she can answer right now. Mandisa is her name. Mandisa is, I'll give you her, I'm going to ask her if I can give you her email or her phone number. Would anybody want her? She'll underwrite your deals for you nationwide. She'll underwrite any one of your deals for you.
Send it over.
Hey, Peace, how are you?
Yo, what up?
Hey, you got your Instagram back.
Hell yeah. People can't stop me.
Dude, you're amazing. We were like, let's go.
I was like, yo, I'm Jerry Norton's friend. And they're like, oh, you said enough. We'll give it back.
You're amazing.
Hey, I've got
What's up?
550 people watching me on Wholesale Hotline live.
Hmm.
And I just want to know if I can give them all your email address if they want to work with PadSplit.
Yeah, hell yes.
Okay. And can you underwrite like anywhere nationwide?
So I can underwrite anywhere in our core markets, but I will pass them off to Zach if it's outside of a core market, but I will help him.
Okay. What's your email?
Mandisa@padsplit.com.
Mandisa@padsplit.com. That's MANDISA@padsplit.com. And what about can I give them your cell phone number? Or is that too intrusive?
Of course.
All right. Dang. You said enough. I'll give it to him.
Okay, you're amazing.
Okay. Do you mind if I tell all 550 people to text you right now and say congrats on the baby and stuff like that?
Oh, that'd be so sweet.
Okay. Let's see if we can get you 550 texts.
That's amazing. Tell everybody I said hello.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
So here's the cool thing. I still use Jamil to comp stuff, and I'll even I'll still use my wife to comp some stuff. Like I'm not that guy. I'm not going to sit there and comp. I don't like doing it. Mandisa does the same thing for me on PadSplit stuff. I go, will you underwrite this and verify it for me? And she will actually go into her system and look at all of her clients and she'll actually say, oh, they're having a hard time renting, or they've got a waiting list. They've got all the most applications. She'll do all the things and show you guys how to do it. She's come into subto a lot of times and like shown people how to do the thing, but I still just rely on her. So there's her information, guys. I put a J at the end of it on accident, but Mandisa, that's her cell phone number, guys. Give her a text right now and tell her that you appreciate her. She's freaking awesome. Okay. That turns into a deal, Jerry.
Yeah.
Does this make you want to go buy more assets?
That turns everything into a deal. I mean, for real, that's a whole different perspective. As long as you're not fighting too much with HOAs or whatever else because of parking or whatever, I don't see the downside.
The downside is there's a couple of downsides to it. Is the management fee is hefty, right? 15% management fee. But like in Montana, we wouldn't have them manage it. We do it ourselves. But I don't want to do management myself. I like having a property management company.
Yeah.
So the other downfall is there are some properties that don't work. Like you'll get properties that have a 3-bed, 1-bath. And you're like, okay, crap, this is a weird house, right? And you convert the garage. It's like, you cannot have 4 beds and 1 bath.
Right.
Right there. You can have 4 beds, 2 baths. You can have 3 beds, 1 bath. But if you have 3 beds, 1 bath, you're not going to be able to maximize it. The beautiful number is when you have 6 bedrooms or more. If you have 6 bedrooms or more, it's really hard for them not to cash flow. So like that duplex that Jerry's looking at, that turns into an 8-bed, 4-bath property.
How do you do that? How do you get these bubbles on your thing and the balloons? It doesn't do it for me.
Oh, really? You don't have AI, bro? Come on.
I guess not. Man, what are we doing? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Guys, you can do PadSplit just about any market. I think they're in like 50 different markets. So definitely reach out to her. What I would do is I would text her. Everybody should save her in your phone and just say, hey, saw you in Wholesale Hotline.
What's the Glendale one?
And blow her up. Mandisa. Jerry, you should bring her on your YouTube channel.
Let's see if it's a good one. Yeah. Hold on. So I want to see this in real life. Are we able to move the cameras a little bit, Matt, here? Huh? Yeah. Ingrid's got a deal here in Glendale, and we'll see if it's a good deal. What do you say? You good to help there, Pacer?
Who?
Ingrid's got a deal here. She's sitting right here in Glendale.
Yeah,
bring it in.
Let's talk about it.
We'll just bring it over. All right. All right, get snug.
All right.
Here we go. Give it up for Ingrid.
Ingrid.
Go, Ingrid.
Again.
Sorry.
Look at that community camp shirt she's wearing right there.
I know. Yeah, we have this property. She's in pre-foreclosure. Her auction date is like the first week of June.
Mhm.
And we have been really teetering, like, do we buy this? Do we not buy this? Because it's just, we were trying to do a subtail,
Mhm.
but her most recent comp is at 410.
Okay.
And we'll just say like her payoff, even though it's a sub 2, is 350.
Mhm.
The pool needs replastering. It needs the equipment. There's a fence that's coming down. And so there was some challenges and which made the margin way too thin. I was like, no, you're going to have to short sell this.
Yeah.
But I don't even know why I didn't even think about co-living, because it has a 2-car garage. It has a big living room that actually has already 2 entryways into it. So I can see splitting it into 2 bedrooms. So 2 bedrooms in the living room, 2 bedrooms in the garage. And then you have 3 that are already there. So 2, 4, 6, 7 bedrooms, like right away.
Yeah.
And it has 2 baths. So the PITI is below 1900.
Yeah.
And it has solar at, it does have solar. I hate solar.
Oh my
somebody
gosh.
saw me ranting about
Oh
solar.
my gosh.
It's criminal.
It is criminal.
I don't care what people say and how amazing it's not.
If they have something to say about it, Ingrid, it's because they knock doors for solar.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, yeah, I don't know if I should give out the address because we're still kind of talking.
No, do not
here.
give out the address.
But those are the ins and outs. And then, Stephen, what is it like? It's like a 1,900 square foot home. Something. It's a bigger house. Yeah.
Is that Stephen Hunt?
Yeah, Stephen Hunt.
What's up, Stephen Hunt?
What's up, Pace Morby?
He said, "What's up, Pace Morby?"
Love you, brother. Appreciate you.
So yeah, what are you thinking? Is that a deal?
Are you kidding me? I would buy that deal in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
$1,900 PITI. Your challenge is the upfront cost to get into the deal, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So let's talk about this for a second, because
Okay.
Stephen Hunt's in the room. So let's beat Stephen Hunt up just a little bit. He loves the burst strategy more than he likes creative finance.
This is the true story.
And so I look at the burst strategy. It's like you can do the burst strategy with this, but you're going to go get an 8% rate. You're going to put 30% tied up in the deal. Everybody that says the burst strategy is like, oh, I get my money out. No, you don't. The majority of people that do the burst strategy, we own a lending company. I see people's settlement statements. I see how much money people have tied up in these deals after their refinance. I think you would have more money tied up in a BRRRR deal on this than you would on the sub 2 deal. The great thing is, how much are you giving her?
So that's where I'm showing her that, let's say she had all the money to catch up her reinstatement, to catch up her solar bill, to fix the property. She would walk away anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000.
Okay, great. So you give her 10. You give her 10 grand. You catch up
Yeah.
all the stuff. You're into the deal. How much are you into it just to close on it?
To close on it creatively, technically like $40K.
Okay, so I'm into it 40,000. I then go put another 40,000 into it. Let's say between the replastering the pool, cleaning up the property, turning into a PadSplit, new carpet, new paint, whatever. Right? I'm 80 grand into this deal.
Right.
What's my ARV is 410, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm into a property, $450,000 that's worth 410. That's basically what you're into. You're into it 440 for a property that's worth 410, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what's my rate?
Well, it would be a 7-bedroom property. Her PITI is less than 19.
What's my percentage? What's my interest rate?
Oh, it's like 3 point something interest rate.
Banger deal. You're not. There's no way you could do this with the BRRRR strategy. This is a cash deal. You're all in on this deal. 80 grand for 440 for a 410 house. You're in 20%. 20%, including furniture, repairs, etc. You're into this deal 20% out of your pocket on a property that will cash flow like a madman. What's your cash flow on that? Your cash flow on a PadSplit, let's say you're going to bring in somewhere around $5,000 a month. Your PIT is $1,900. You got a $3,100 spread. Take out your management fee. You're going to cash flow probably $15,000 a year on that. So what's your cash flow? What's your cash on cash return? $15,000 on an $80,000 investment. It's over 20%.
Yeah.
Your cash on cash return is over 20%, and you have a 3% interest rate. It's a great deal.
Boom. You want to buy it, Brent?
Maybe.
He only buys houses that are in historic areas.
I have one of those too. Right on. Thank you guys.
That's a great. I like that deal, Ingrid. Why not try and sell that deal to me? When was the last time you sold me a deal?
3 months ago or something. Yeah, we could do this.
Send me the address. Let me take a look at it.
Okay.
Let's have Mandisa underwrite the deal inside of Subto tomorrow or the next day, and have her go through the property and say, this is exactly what this thing would make. And then let's go through a construction estimate. I bet you this thing's like 25% cash on cash return.
Yeah. I think my challenge right now is, and I feel bad for the buyer.
Contract?
I'm sorry, the seller. Yeah, the seller's just like not understanding. She apparently used to work for an investor too, so I broke it down for her. I was like, look, if you had all the money to do everything yourself right now, you'd literally walk away with like 10 grand or less. Just let me give you 10 grand right now, and let's not put this at risk of foreclosure. And you're selling a good interest rate, so people will want this. But she's just not been in her right mind. But I feel like I'm this close. She just needs.
You don't have you have the contract or no?
We don't have the contract right now. That's why I wasn't ready to give out the address.
Yeah,
but those are the pieces to it.
My rule is contract first, due diligence second.
Yeah, I like your rule. Yeah,
because otherwise you spend a lot of time on stuff that you may not get.
Oh, we just walked it just because I wanted to make sure. And again, I honestly actually thought it was already under contract.
Yeah,
because this came from another person. And then I found out yesterday it wasn't. So, yeah. All right.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
All right.
I might be looking confused over here. It's not about the numbers or the strategy. I'm literally going through my brain right now, Pace, going, we have like 15 deals like this right now in my database. Like literally really sitting right there. That's what's going through my head right now.
What, Brent? They don't cash flow with long term? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Or they're upside down, or
we had Kevin Cho. So Kevin Cho did 75 deals last year, all sub-2 assignments, and I bought 23 of them. And he was inside the sub-2 community in the Facebook group bragging. He's like, I have the best buyer. He buys non-cash flowing deals. He's kind of an idiot. And I'm like, dude, they're all freaking pad splits. Like, you guys look at the long-term rental. You charge me a $5,000 assignment fee to buy this deal because I told you it doesn't cash flow on long-term rental. Why would I want the deal? Because that's my negotiating strategy. I then turn around and put it into pad split, and the thing, they cash flow like freaking behemoths. So he stopped assigning deals to me when he found out I was doing pad splits. And now what do you think Kevin Cho's doing? He's now doing pad splits and just keeping the houses for himself. He now has like 15 rentals. So it does solve a major problem. Think about creative finance and pad split combined right now is like the 1-2 punch that destroys everything. And even pad split, just pad split by itself, even with an 8% rate, is going to cash flow right now. Whereas the short-term rental is not going to do that right now. The people are not vacationing as much, right? It's going away. I don't know how everybody feels about short-term rental right now, but that's how I feel about short-term rental. I know Jamil is not into that. He has one short-term rental. Jerry, I don't think you're doing any STR. And Brent, I don't think you do short-term rental, right?
Nope.
Yeah. Like, if I could snap a finger and get rid of one asset class that I have or one exit strategy, it would be short-term rental.
I would use all of the cash flow to buy down that loan and get those free and clear as fast as possible.
Are you Brent Daniels, Dave Ramsey? Are you related to Dave Ramsey?
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would get it all paid off. I would take all that cash flow because I don't need working capital. I don't need the cash flow to live off of. I would take all the money and I would pay off all the debt on that thing and own it free and clear as fast as possible.
I like it. I like that. That's what for the longest time. That's what I did. I would borrow money for my down payment.
No, because what are you saving in interest that you could be reinvesting? Like, you give me that money and I'll go make a 40% return on it flipping.
I agree with you. I look at what Jerry's doing in Puerto Rico right now on these houses that he's building.
You would take the cash flow and put it into flips?
Well, just 100%. Think about it. If you pay down your 8% rate, 6% rate, then that money's only earning 8% because that you're using to pay down our 8% rate. You could take that money and invest it in something that's giving you a much higher return. So that's why you would never want to pay down your rate unless it's expensive, because whatever you pay down is the rate that money's earning. Right?
Agreed, 100%. Our lending business lends money out at like 16%. So like, why would I ever pay down a rate that's 8% or 6% or 7%?
Because I feel like it's just working capital. I feel like you're going to make a mistake at some point and lose it.
Well,
I believe in that. I believe that.
I mean, there's something to be said for peace of mind, right? Like, oh my gosh, I own something free and clear, or I own something at 50% debt to income, whatever, or debt to cost or whatever. But from an investment standpoint, if you know how to multiply your money really fast, paying down rates is not a good way to use your cash.
It's definitely
until you do a project that you lose it all.
That is definitely a real concern, right? Definitely a real concern is that you can lose all your money really quickly. And the smart way to play is pay down your assets and not have to work ever again. Definitely a path.
I think then you got massive cash flow in these things, right?
Yeah. Or you could just have a lot. That's the thing is I look at what's better. Okay. If I look at a 5-year time horizon or a 10-year time horizon, my cash flow is the least significant part of the money that I made.
Right.
It's the appreciation, the tax benefits, and the tenants paying down my mortgage that is actually more significant than the cash flow ever was.
That's what I mean. I would just pay off the loan faster.
Yeah, but just do some of it, not all of it, right? I mean, you just want to be safe all the time. So if you're at 50% of value on your debt, you're pretty safe. But paying it down to zero, that second 50%, I don't know if that's smart because you can use that money to grow it a lot faster.
So something that we just talked about at Squad Up Summit, Jerry, I don't know if you saw me talk about this, but I did this like choose your own adventure hour where I said, all right, guys, I have this house. What do we do? A, B, C, or D? Okay, now what do we do? A, B, C, or D? And I went all the way through this 5-year time horizon on this house that I own. And at the end, I have now, it's a house I bought from Alec Lebec. I don't know if you remember Alec Lebec, Brent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I bought this house from Alec Lebec 5 years ago. It now has $420,000 in equity. At the time, he's like, why the crap would you buy this deal? It has no equity. I go, you just wait. One day you're going to see exactly why I bought it. So everybody's like, well, what do you do now? You have the tenant moved out. You've got a vacant house that has $420,000 in equity. What do? Do I refinance out my equity? Do I sell the house and roll it into something I just pay off? Or do you just put another tenant in there because it's a great rate and it cash flows and keep the equity locked up in the house? And what I decided to do was keep the equity locked up in the house. Why? Because Cody Barton and I just bought a cleaning company, and this cleaning company is already franchising across the country. And I said, what are we buying? I told Cody, what are we buying the cleaning company for? He says, we're buying it for $150,000. I go, why don't we just go get a private money lender to secure our $150,000 loan from them against this house in Whitman, against the equity, and we'll go buy this cleaning company with no money out of our pocket. And he's like, done. And so Sam right here is saying, well, I have $200,000 in equity. I need to figure out what to do with it. You leverage a private money lender against that equity and go buy something else if you are gutsy. You don't have to do that. Dave Ramsey would never approve of that. But there are ways to get into your, there you go. He says, okay, business acquisition time. That is exactly what we're doing. We're using our trapped equity in our properties to leverage into buying businesses. We bought a property management company, bought a cleaning company. We bought the plant guy this way, same way, no money out of pocket, leveraging our equity.
The other way I'll do that pace is I'll cross-collateralize on other loans, on other projects with the equity.
For your big luxury stuff.
Yeah, just whatever. So if I've got assets that have equity, then oftentimes I can get a better deal on lending if I'm willing to let them cross-collateralize on other assets.
Yeah, I love that.
Same idea. It's using the equity for something rather than it just sit there doing nothing.
Yeah, we had I had that whole thought process like 5-6 years ago. I'm like, what do I do with this equity? I don't get like a debit card of equity. I can go buy groceries with equity. I got to pull it out somehow. And then a mentor of mine was like, dude, leverage the equity, get a loan against the equity. I was like, man, that sounds like something Jerry Norton would do. He's like, yeah, that's where I learned it. Freaking Jerry Norton. He's the freaking man. I just did this PML loan where I'm using it for takedown deals. So like in and out, 60-day turns.
And so private money, IRA, self-directed it. I have a lot of lenders like that. There's so many people that have 25 to 100,000 in their IRA that they can easily self-direct it. Then they can lend it out on real estate. So I said to him, I said, okay, so here's how this is going to work. I'm going to be giving you your money back every 60 days. I'm going to try to have another deal lined up so it's not sitting ever. And they were like, I don't want it sitting. Is there another way we could do this? And I said, well, I own this rental free and clear in Michigan, worth 150 or whatever. Why don't we just lean up my rental and we'll do a 1-year loan? You're the first lien position on this rental. Now I'll take your money and I'll turn it. If it's sitting, it's on me because I'm paying you the interest for the full time. So now the pressure's on me to keep that money working when I turn it. But that's one way of doing that, right? So rather than go lean it up, cash it out, have the cash, I can just lend against the equity, accomplishing the same thing.
Yeah, I love it. There's a hard money lending company I did an interview with today out of St. Louis, Missouri. They work in Sam Prim's office. And they're basically doing gator loans in just a little small market. And I said, how did you guys get started? Like, where did you get your money to lend out? And they said, well, we started using our rentals and we went to a credit union and leveraged our equity to get a line of credit. I was like, no, you did not. They go, yeah, we went to a credit union. They basically added up all of our equity. They gave us 70% of a loan against our equity. And we went out and started lending the money. We got it from them at 5% and we lend it out at 12% plus 3 points. So, and they it's 2 girls, just 2 girls and 2 people on their team. After salaries, bonuses, overhead, et cetera, they netted after taxes last year $1 million off of leveraging equity on their rental properties to hard money lend.
Yeah, totally.
Freaking crazy. It makes me want to get into real estate.
It's the best.
It's addicting, dude. It's like Jerry's over here playing freaking Monopoly. He's building houses down in Puerto Rico. How are those projects going, by the way? How much do you think you'll make on that one on the hillside?
My conservative back end number is 6 million, and I've got comps that will support up to 7. And I'm trying to be all in. So that's permits, architectural, lot, all of it at 3 million.
You think you'll make $3 million on a single build in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to make. You know what's great about it is a lot of people are like, Jerry, you're nuts. This thing's 11,000 square feet. You've never done, an all reinforced concrete house before. And I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. So let's say I go over budget and I'm 3.5, and let's say it sells for 5, not 6 or 7. And I screw this whole thing up and I make $1 million. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm looking at it. Like, okay, if I totally blow this deal, I'm going to do really well. But if I hit it out of the park, I'm going to do really well.
And the thing is, because you built it in Puerto Rico, it's almost like you're making $2 million when you only make $1 million. Because you got to keep all your money. You don't pay any freaking taxes.
Yeah, it's like I double my revenue for sure. And here's what's cool is, so I'm trying to buy more lots. I own another lot, and what's crazy is people misunderstand lots in a luxury market like this. So like there's a guy that's got his lot for sale right next to the one I've got. I love it. It's a great lot. I'm really picky. It's got to be an amazing view. And I like this guy's lot, but he's overpriced and he's at like $675. I bought mine for $330. It's probably worth $6 or something like that, like cash, $556. But who cares? I went to the guy and I'm like, hey, I'll give you full price if you'll give me terms. Because at the end of the day, what does it matter if I'm selling an $8 million, because this is even better. I'm selling an $8 million house. Who cares if I paid 4 or 5 or 6, or it doesn't even matter anymore. I'll pay whatever price they want. And if they'll carry it for me, then I'll sit on it until I'm ready to build. I just want to grab the inventory. Gosh,
I love that. You make me want to move to Puerto Rico.
You're saying that every pace. Remember how much you complained when you came out here?
Because you make me come out here in the summer, bro.
It was pretty hot when you were out here.
Take me out there in Christmas time. Let's kill some.
That's the guy that lives in Arizona. It's hot in Puerto Rico.
That's very true. By the way, dude, I'm excited to hang out with you in Montana this year. When are you guys going up there?
Oh my gosh, I'm counting. I look at my pictures on the tubes and videos on the tubes and stuff every day, counting down the days.
I feel like
Yeah, I heard a
both in
rumor
that.
that there might be 2 community camps. Is that public knowledge yet?
That is not public knowledge yet. Did somebody reach out to you about that?
Yeah.
Who, Saravi?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to be in town?
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah.
Because we were going to move it to whatever day you were going to be there.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be exciting. We just I think we're about to pour our pickleball court over at the property. Steve Harward from PCS is bringing his Sherp. Sparks from the Diesel Brothers is bringing up his Blackhawk. So he's going to be giving people rides on his Blackhawk around Kalispell Valley. And we're going to have a blast up there. He wants to drop people into your lake from the Blackhawk.
Awesome.
I'll sign up for that.
Yeah. All day.
Crazy.
I'll sign up for that.
Depends on the height though, right, Jerry?
Yeah, depends on the height.
Brent, how do we get you and your family up there? I know you've been on a traveling
When do you go?
I will be up there in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, I'm flying my whole family up there, and we will be up there through September.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Are you really going to be there that whole time, or are you going to be on the road a lot?
I'm speaking for Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone, a couple of other people. I'm doing like 4 speaking events, and that's it. I turned everything else down. I'm going to do like the 4 that I really want to do.
You say that every year.
This year I've already turned them down. That's the cool thing. I've already said no to all of them. I only have 4 on the calendar. And so I'm going to pop out. There's one day I'm speaking for Eric Worre. I don't know if you know who Eric Worre is. He's like the #1 Herbalife guy in Vegas. I'll fly down to him, hang out, speak with him, literally jump on a plane and back up in Montana. And I'll make it in time for the late night boat cruise on Lake Blaine.
Every night, 8 p.m., adults only cruise.
Clothing optional.
That kind of camp, huh? All right.
It's going to be a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun. Brent, we'd love to have you up there, dude. Are you kidding me? Please bring your whole family, man. Bring your boys.
I didn't know you were there all summer. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just like being here. You know, I'm sitting here on Zoom 4 hours to 12 hours a day. And so I've got that little Starlink thing going. I got internet over at Jerry's house. I think Jerry and I are going to start a whole full-fledged like gas station freaking business up there, like selling sandwiches and stuff. So
yeah. And pickleball tournament every day.
Pickleball tournament. We got the gym going. I've got the barn is getting finished right now. We decided to add air conditioning and heating to the barn so we can have events and like, you know, date nights over there and like potluck dinners in the barn and stuff like that. So it's going to be a blast this whole year.
Can we get some albino buffalo in the front fenced in area?
I think if I can get a couple more wholesale deals before this community camp, then I think that we can get one. The cost is $50,000 for those albino bad boys.
Jason and I talked to a guy that sells albino buffaloes, but how cool would it be to have an albino buffalo? I mean, who gets to say that? It would be cool.
What do you think you and I could do this summer that would be great for content, like getting together, maybe starting a wholesale business from scratch and doing it for 20 days or getting our kids I know you've got some live streaming going on with your kids, right?
Yeah, we're doing this challenge with the kids, which has been, holy cow, fun and a lot of work. And yeah, it's been great.
How long is that going to be going on and how can people tune into that?
Well, we run the live stream once a week right now. And then I have this whole PDF of like all the things they're doing. So their assignments and, you know, what they're supposed to do to stay on track and everything. And then they've got to report back every week. And then every week I kind of check in how they're doing, listen to some of their calls. They have to record all their calls. So yeah, it's good.
Are you doing agent outreach with your kids or what are you doing?
So what I'm doing, and tell me what you guys think. I'd love your input, Brent and Pace. So it's called 0 to 60. So I want to see if I can get them from first deal all the way to 60,000. And ideally I'd like to do it in 6 months. I don't know if that's possible or not. Everyone's a little different, but first deal's got to be on market with no money and no tools. So they can't utilize any software, any tools, any marketing. First deal. And the second deal has got to be off market cold calling, and they have to do the cold calling. They can't shortcut and get a cold caller. I just want them to learn. I want them to come from the ground up, right? Like you're the janitor all the way up before they just start spending money and shortcut. Yeah. And then the third deal can be, I want them to do cold calling, but maybe hire out the cold caller, still low cost. So I kind of want to work them up. I want to work them up from free, low cost, and then move into maybe some of the higher cost marketing and build a little bit of a team and spend some money on some things. So they have to reinvest at least half of their profit on their deals back into the business.
The age ranges, Jerry?
So these are all my adults. So it's 18,
Okay.
21, 23. Yeah.
Awesome. This isn't like 12-year-olds or 6-year-olds or something.
No, but I don't see why. I should have Josh doing it. He's 15. I bet he could keep up just fine.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because none of this is rocket science. The hardest part is just they're like, Dad, I can't believe how long it takes to get 5 offers out. And, you know, I call. No one calls me back. And so they have to do 5 offers a day. They have to do, and that's a bona fide, like, listed property that's distressed. They have to do 10, what I call shotgun offers, or not offers, but just shotgun calls, which is just cold calling agents out of the blue. And then they have to do 10 follow-ups a day. So that's 3-4 hours easy right there. Yep. And, you know, they got like the 2 older ones, they got full-time jobs that they do. Jared runs my hotel, so he's busy. And so it's fun to watch them, like, at 10:30 at night, they're like texting me about something. It's great.
Are you finding that they're having a hard time staying on track because they're young and like they don't need the money?
Definitely. I mean, that's one of the disadvantages of, you know, not like I grew up where, dude, if I wanted something, I had to go figure it out. There was no, even if my parents wanted to, they couldn't. Right. And so that's always been a challenge where you grow up with stuff, is how do you keep your kids from being comfortable and entitled? So we try really hard at that. But yeah, I think it's just, I tell them, I say, look, this is the hardest phase of all. You've got the full-time job, and then you got a side hustle, and the side hustle is brutal until it becomes the full hustle. But dude, I side hustled for a year before I went full-time, and I had the job, and I was married and had kids. You guys don't even have kids. So, you know, it just means you got to sacrifice all your free time. You're not going to be hanging out and watching TV. Like, you're going to be doing this every free minute you get. You're going to be getting up early. You're going to be doing it at your lunch break. You're going to be doing it when you get home from work. And you just got to put in the time, and there's no way around it. Everybody's got to do it that way.
Did they ask you to do this? I mean, obviously you're not forcing 21-year-olds.
It was my wife's idea. So it was my wife's idea. She has great ideas. She's like, Jerry, just organize it all down into, like, once a week you sit down with them, you know, and map it out for them. And so, but they want to do it. And I'm doing a $5,000 cash bonus, and I have the cash in like a stack of 20s. Mm-hmm. And I let them hold it sometimes and stuff. But the first one is first one to 60,000 gets the 5,000 cash.
Nice.
So they're kind of competing against each other for that, just for fun. And
do they have any interest in making content?
I told them, record your calls. Like, Jonathan's the second famous Norton in the Norton household, because I put his calls on YouTube. Right. I got a video with him where it's got like 250,000 views or something, and it's him looking like an idiot on the phone. And then I kind of like tell him what he did wrong, and it's fun. I mess around with him a little bit, but people love it because it's like, dude, that's how I sounded, and it's great to hear somebody like in the beginning, and then, you know, I give them feedback and stuff. So yeah, so I told him, record all your calls, every single one.
Does he have his own YouTube channel?
I told him you should. People would like to watch your journey, you know, like, do it. So they're thinking about it.
I mean, that's
I think they should.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing for you to manage, because Asher is in that same boat, right? He's 16 years old. So like, girls have his attention, soccer, all these other things. That's like, there's always something better to do. And then as a parent, you're sitting there going, well, I do want him to do soccer, and I do want him to do these things, but I also want to like pull his car keys away and say, you got to go figure this out. Like, you almost want to act like you're poor with your kids in order for them to get stuff done. Right. But like, your kids, here's the problem. When I'm at your house, I feel like a kid. And what I mean by that is, it's like, we got the lake, we got the boat, we got the hiking, we got there's always something fun to do with the Nortons. So I imagine being a Norton at your house is really hard to hunker down and get any work done, because everybody's playing all the time.
We do have a lot of fun, but we want them to learn hard work. So we really push them on that too. Like Josh does all my thumbnails, and I make him compete against Tyler. So I make Tyler do them and Josh. And then in TubeBuddy, you can split test your thumbnails. Yeah. And I tell Josh, I'll give you a $5 bonus every split test you win on the thumbnail. And he takes that serious. It's more like he wants to win, you know, and he wins about half the time. It's really funny. But,
wow, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah. So I pay him $15 a thumbnail, and then he gets a $5 bonus if he beats out the other, you know, the real thumbnail designer. And, but there's times where I'm like, Josh, where's my freaking thumbnail, dude? That video goes live tomorrow, and he's up late, you know, on Canva. And he's like, do you like this? And I'm like, no, I don't like that. And, you know, he's like he's getting pretty good. It's fun to watch him. He's 15.
Oh, I love it. He's up all night. And then your answer is no, I don't like it. Brent, what are you doing with your kids? You got anything that you're working on with your kids yet? Or are they still a little bit young?
Yeah, they're just young. They're just having fun. I mean, Bo wants the door knock, and he's 7. He wants a door knock to sell lotion that he put together. He just takes all of Aaron's lotion and puts them in these bottles. And I'm like, you can't, I don't know if that's, you know, a thing, you know? And he's like, well, you knock and I'll just have the lotion. I was like, no, you got to do it. So we settled on a lemonade stand that he puts out every once in a while if he wants a few bucks to go buy Legos. So
Love that.
he'll flag down the neighborhood, the neighbors, and they'll give him a few bucks, and he feels pretty good about it.
Guess what?
Of course, it costs us like $20 for the, you know, the fresh lemons and the sugar and everything. But I'll teach him, you know, the economics later. And
so, Pace, you'll get a kick out of this. Guess what Grace is doing? She's making these notebooks on Amazon where you design the notebook, and it's just like a journal, you know, like a 9x16 line book. But then you make a really fun cover, and then people buy these things for like, you know, $7-8, and then you make $2, whatever it is. And so I said, you should make a bunch of real estate ones. Like, I'm a real estate closer, or, you know, any of these kind of cool things. Like, she made one that was like eat, sleep, flip houses, repeat. And it's just the cover, and it's just like a notebook. I'm like, real estate people love notebooks. They make notes. They go to seminars with them. Like that. Exactly. That exact thing. And I said, if you make a bunch of really cool real estate ones, I'll bet you I could put that out to my people. You could get Pace to put that in like subto. You could probably sell 100 of those in like 5 minutes. People would buy them.
So Dean Graziosi sends me all mine. They're all like these leather things. He sends me one like every 6 months or so. And they're too small. I need like a big one, but like,
you want a big one?
I want like a full-fledged, like 8.5 by 11, like a mead one.
Okay.
And if you can have her create one for me.
What do you want it to say? Subto? Do you have the Subto logo? Like the?
Yeah. It's our trademark. Yeah.
In like a JPEG or whatever.
Yeah. Will she make that? And I bet our community would, because what I do is when I'm on the phone with sellers or agents, I just sit there and take notes the whole time. And I know our community is doing the same thing. Like you're just creating all your ammunition to like throw back at the agent. And I need a bigger notepad rather than like these little ones, you know, and I'd love to buy that.
She'd be so excited to do that. I'll tell her.
Tell her to make it. We'll bring her on here. We'll talk about it. Before we wrap up, I want to talk about something that's been popping up a lot lately and that I think is a really big opportunity in real estate for people that are focusing on foreclosures. People that are focusing on foreclosures forget that there's something called excess funds. Have you guys ever chased excess funds, Jerry or Brent?
I know all about the strategy, but I haven't pursued it much.
I'm seeing it pop up more and more and more. So Spencer Caldwell does it a lot. Where I know everybody here is friends with Spencer Caldwell. He's going to come in and teach a semester inside of Subto all about excess funds. We've got a lot of people in our community that are doing it. I've only done it 4 times, but we've got people that are knocking. Brent made me think about this. We have a student that went out, knocked the door. Seller says, you can't help me. He was somewhat right. The house actually went to foreclosure. They went, chased the excess funds. They got $280,000. The seller's like, give me $10,000. And the guy who knocked the door and his partner ended up splitting like $260,000. This is so popular right now. So you guys we should
it's overages as well.
Overages. Yeah. So we should bring in Spencer Caldwell or somebody else and do a whole conversation about this, because the people out there calling foreclosures, knocking foreclosures, the house goes to foreclosure and everybody's like, well, that's the end of the deal. No, it's not. That's not the end of the deal, especially right now with massive demand. People are overpaying what these houses are worth on the market. And there is overages. There's money to claim for these sellers, and the sellers have no freaking clue, no clue whatsoever. I think Jordan Wittenberg, this is like the main thing he's focusing on. He just got a deal. It was like $45,000. So we have a whole semester of it, 12-week class happening in sub 2 here in the next couple of months. But I think Spencer Caldwell would be a really great guest for us to bring in to talk about overages and excess funds. And honestly, I think the whole process of foreclosure A to Z would be really cool too.
Yep. That's awesome.
Oh, Diane says, I've closed 11 of those deals.
Jeez.
Dang. So
Diane.
Yeah. And what's cool is that the house is already sold. You're not wholesaling anything. You're just going after and claiming excess funds.
What happens is after a certain time frame, it goes, that unclaimed funds go back to the state.
Yeah, exactly where we don't want it to go.
So everyone's quiet about it. They don't really, they'll never tell the seller there's money here for you. So the strategy is you go work a deal with the seller, you do the work to get it, and then you split it with the seller is kind of the strategy, like big picture.
You've had Spencer Caldwell hang out on your YouTube channel, right, Brent?
Oh yeah.
Okay. By the way, he said, he asked me today, he's like, do you have Brent Daniel's cell phone number? He asked me that this morning at 9 a.m.
Thanks for saving it, Spencer. We did a 40-minute podcast and he had like 79 text messages come in during 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
The guy loves that action.
He's so good, but he doesn't really have a big brand, you know? Okay. We'll bring him on. If you guys don't mind, maybe we bring him on next week for our wholesale hotline and talk about overages and foreclosure process and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Cool. Brent, what do you have coming up this week, brother?
Got a live show 3 hours Wednesday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or 10 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Same time. It's going to be a great show. Come join me.
What are you guys doing?
We're going to be just breaking down the every single inbound and outbound strategy that's working right now.
I love it.
Yep.
Jerry, what about you? You got live streams going on with your kids. What's going on with all
I
that?
got that. That's we're usually doing those on Monday or Tuesday. We did the one this week already earlier today. And then I've been doing some with Anne-Marie, which has been really fun. We started last week. We're going to do it again tomorrow, but it's Tuesdays at 9 my time. So what is that? 6 Pacific. And I live stream with her, and it's not about real estate. It's about relationship. It's about the spouse. It's about supporting each other in this journey. So last week it was very receptive. There were lots of questions. It was really interactive. It was awesome. And it's just like an hour or so Q&A, but come join and bring your spouse and come on board. What I found, Pace, and I know you run into this and you do such a great job of bridging this, but oftentimes there's one that's kind of leading out with wanting a better life and they want to start to do real estate, and the other one sort of gets left behind, or they maybe don't feel included, or maybe they're taking care of the home front and you're both not really aligned real well. And so how do you both get aligned so that way both home and business are kind of heading in the same direction?
It's honestly one of the most amazing topics. I think Anne-Marie is my favorite person to listen to about it. We've had her on panels, and the last mastermind we had, actually, we retired our mastermind. She spoke on the panel. People still talk about it 6-7 months later, about how that was one of the most impactful things they've ever been a part of, is listening to Anne-Marie. So you guys are doing that on Tuesdays, you said?
Yeah. Tuesdays
on your YouTube channel.
Yep. Laura was on last week too for a little bit, which was fun.
Where was I?
I think you were still recovering from Summit.
Oh, Summit was last week, I think.
No, it was the week before.
I can't remember. I don't know. I traveled all last week as well. It was a crazy week. I spoke all last week. So, Brent Daniels, you've got your show this Wednesday, correct?
Yes. Brent Daniels YouTube channel. I'll see you there.
Cool. I have nothing special going on. I do have a couple of things I'm excited about. I have a big challenge going on, sub 2 Gator and top tier TC community only. We're going to be doing a 10,000 person challenge where we're going to break a world record for the most offers submitted in one day from one group. Awesome. We got the Guinness Book people coming out and hanging out with us. That'll happen in September. So you guys will hear me start talking about that. I do have I'm really, really excited about spending the summer with Jerry and creating all sorts of crazy, cool, fun content. And I bought a plane today, $0 down, $300 a month. It's a Cessna, and I'll be bringing it up to Montana. And if your kids are interested, we'll teach them how to fly a plane, our 0 down plane. It should be a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds like a blast.
Yeah. I will not be teaching them. We'll have a captain teach them. But it would be cool for your kids to learn how to fly a plane during the summertime. So, guys, thank you for Wholesale Hotline. We had about 700 people hit our total viewership today, 700 people hanging out with us live. I think we had about 3,000 people check in. Thank you guys so much for coming in here and vibing with us on a day. I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, so thank you, Brent and Jerry and Jamil, holding it down. And we'll see you guys next week with Spencer Caldwell talking about foreclosure, excess funds, and overages. Later, guys.
See you guys.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the